This is Matt on the Moon Lambo channel. Look at this headline from Crypto News. Ripple not recommended by MicroStrategy's Michael Saylor. Audible sigh. And of course, Ripple conflated with XRP. That happens all the time, right? But, when I jumped in crypto in 2017, I felt like I had really found something special and I was excited. I was looking at the reason I found out about it actually is I was reading, actually turned out to be a very negative article about Ethereum, but it piqued my interest, and so I jumped in and ended up buying Ethereum and Litecoin and Bitcoin all in the same day, in that order actually, just randomly. And so I started doing research to go down by market cap as coin after coin after coin. And then XRP very quickly caught my interest, not just because it was ranked high in terms of market cap. I went past it and then I kept going back to it. I was like, but this one does something. It's like, there's utility here. This is really interesting. And so I was interested in some other coins, including Bitcoin. That's the one that started the whole thing. I wasn't anti-Bitcoin. I still wanted to learn more before I was fully convinced of anything, including XRP, right? But I came in with an open mind, some skepticism, but an open mind, certainly. And you know what I quickly found, which it's so terribly regrettable, is that crypto is one of the most tribal environments on the entire damn planet. Oh my God. It is ridiculous. So here I was, naive little old Moon Lambo. I was thinking, wow, well, I'm part of something now that I'm still learning about, but I'm new. But I'm part of this thing too, and this is neat, and we're all here and experiencing this thing. And then I quickly found out, no. I'm the enemy to the Bitcoin maxis out there. I didn't know that's what you called them at the time, but the people that were pro-Bitcoin, I'm their enemy because, yes, I like Bitcoin, but I also like XRP, therefore enemy. These are small brain people, like cashew-sized brains. It's absolutely astonishing. And so you see crap like this, and so this is in the headlines today. I got to talk about this. It's so stupid that it's offensive. But before going any further, I do want to be clear. I do not have a financial background of any kind. I am not offering financial advice. And you definitely should not buy or sell anything because of anything I say or write. I'm just an enthusiast who enjoys making YouTube videos about crypto-related topics, but just as a hobby and just for fun. All right, so there's Michael Saylor on your screen right there in all of his glory. Look at that. Good old Michael Saylor there. A toxic Bitcoin maximalist. Now, I don't actually hate the guy or anything. I think that, he's very clearly pretty much genius level in terms of intellect, but as it turns out, there's a difference between intelligence and logic. These are not the same things. You can have very intelligent people that have really bad ideas and really bad concepts and bad ways of looking at various things in life and how you approach them, including investing. He is a toxic Bitcoin maximalist. He has called in years past. He has called XRP a scam. He has called XRP a security, and he did that before XRP obviously came out better on the other side of that SEC v. Ripple lawsuit. It was ultimately found by Judge Torres to not be a security, but before that happened, he said it was because reasons, and he'll say anything as long as it helps prop up his very heavy Bitcoin bags, right? And so he's made some enemies along the way. I don't need to read the article, just kind of make the point here. He is a Bitcoin maxi, and he is happy to attack every other crypto community in existence, and it's destructive, and it's tribal, and I despise it. It's one of the things I hate most about crypto. I'm not a max. Fine, look, I am most interested in XRP. It's my largest individual holding, and I am very fond of it because it's actually freaking useful. And it technologically just works. It just does. It doesn't have all the problems that Bitcoin has. Right? Technologically speaking, Bitcoin's the worst cryptocurrency in existence because it was the first. Now, I still hold it. It doesn't mean it can't have long-term viability, but it just is. And then you have XRP that just works. Real-time settlement effectively. It's so blazing fast. Transactions so cheap they might as well be free. Isn't that what Satoshi Nakamoto kind of wanted Bitcoin to be? Wasn't that part of the goal as a peer-to-peer cash system? Because nobody's using it as a peer-to-peer cash system. Let me tell you that right now. And so here you have this headline, Ethereum's Vitalik Buterin slams Michael Saylor as total clown. Right, exactly. Because he was attacking him irrationally. It's not just our community that he has attacked. He attacks everybody. This is how not to behave as an adult. Do not do that, right? And so Michael Saylor was on the PBD podcast. That's Patrick Bet David. And by the way, one of our own of the XRP community has been on there. You may have caught it. John Deaton, he was on, and that was a couple years ago as we were still in the midst of the SEC v. Ripple lawsuit. But I'm just highlighting this. That's Patrick Bet-David on the screen. And if you want to watch the podcast, which I did yesterday, it's this one right here. If you want to go search for it, you can find PBD Podcast. That's the one right there. It's an hour and 41 minutes. I watched the whole thing. And it's just, and this is why I feel conflicted at times, because, you know, you listen to the guy and you're like, this guy is brilliant. He legitimately is. But then he says stuff that make you think like, this guy's certifiably insane. Like, and I'm going to highlight some of that in just a minute here, but let me do things in a particular order. So I got to correct something. And it's not like I'm thrilled, by the way, to defend Michael Saylor in any capacity, because I find some of the stuff that he says to be just reprehensible in terms of the way that he attacks various, various crypto communities out there, including the XRP community for sure. But it's also true that this is how I approach life. I want to believe in life as many true things as possible, whether that's something that's good for me or bad for me. I just want to live in reality. I really very genuinely do. And so I'm not going to be saying things, even if it would strengthen a position or some value that I hold. If it's just not true, I despise it. There's something to my core that really, really bugs me. And when I see people do that, it bugs me that, because you can see through it a lot of the time. I despise that. That being said, so I got to be clear here. This is circulated heavy in our community, the XRP community, that Michael Saylor again was calling XRP a security. I watched this whole thing. He didn't do that. Like, honestly, he didn't. And again, I'm not a huge fan of the guy for a ton of reasons. I don't hate the guy. There's some flaws here I've already cited. But he didn't say what so many people in our community have been citing and what so many crypto media publications have been saying. He didn't say it. So let me break this down. And this is one of the ones that kind of went viral within our community. It's from Good Morning Crypto. It was seen 200,000 times just about at the time that I'm recording this video. And this is an absolute misrepresentation of what actually happened. So I just want to clear this up because I want to live in reality here. So here's the deal. Here's what the post says. Just in, Michael Saylor states he would not recommend Ripple XRP to clients. When asked by Patrick Bet-David if he would recommend Ripple to clients, Saylor stated, and I quote, "I wouldn't recommend a security because there's a counterparty." End quote. Bitcoin maxis are yet to understand what Ripple and XRP have the potential of becoming. Are you bullish on the future of XRP? Okay, so here's what actually happened, okay? And actually, let me mention this too before even getting into it. This is my splash page when I started the video here. Ripple not recommended by MicroStrategy's Michael Saylor, this crypto news article. They took that and they made a whole article based on what I just shared with you, right? The problem is, that's not how the interview went down. You can go listen for yourself, folks. So Patrick Bet-David, he asked Michael Saylor if there's a chance he'd ever recommend Ripple to an investor. Now, I'll pause a note here. He did say Ripple rather than XRP. Patrick Bet-David, he knows a little bit about crypto. I don't get the sense that he knows a ton. He could have meant XRP. I don't know for sure. I'm wondering. He may have. There's a reasonable chance that he did. So there's a question mark already right there, right? But Saylor said that he's 100% Bitcoin only so he's referencing when it comes to investing. And he said, after he was asked that question about Ripple, he said he's 100% Bitcoin only, and that he wouldn't even recommend Apple stock. He then said he wouldn't recommend any security. That's how he said it. He said he wouldn't recommend any security. But that was right after he talked about Apple stock, which is a security. He wasn't responding to Ripple. And so, yes, Saylor, yes, he called XRP a security years ago. And maybe he still believes that, despite it winning non-security status thanks to the SEC v. Ripple lawsuit. But even if he still thinks that, even if he still irrationally thinks XRP is a security, his conversation with Patrick Bet-David there is not proof of that. You'd have to go back and ask him. And again, I just want to live in reality. He explicitly did not state that XRP is, he was referencing Apple stock. And so it's just, you see how stupid this is? It's a whole, sentence or paragraph apart, whatever, maybe a couple sentences. And so just imagine this, just to illustrate the absurdity of this further. Like imagine Patrick Bet-David. So he says the same things. Like, so okay, would you ever recommend Ripple to an investor? And then instead of 1 or 2 sentences away, he said the same thing, I don't know, 10 sentences away. Would you still try and tie it together even though it doesn't immediately follow the question? What if he said, I wouldn't recommend a security if it were, I don't know, 10 minutes later? Where do you draw the line there? If you're being intellectually honest, you'll just acknowledge it's a matter of fact that he wasn't directly responding to that at that point, because that's not how the sentences flowed. And it just bothers me when people say stuff like, I get it, we're in Team XRP here, but why do people on our team need to manipulate? Because what's happening is when he's posting this, Good Morning Crypto, he's manipulating you. He's painting a version of this that is not true. Does that offend you? Like, does it offend, like, I don't know, your intellectual ability at all? You know, the degree to which you're curious about life in general. Does it, because he's framing it in a way that tricks you. Like, that's what legacy media does. Why are you doing that? How about, here's the order in which it happened. What do you think? How about that? And then you have the opinions. But when you frame it in a way that's not true, that is the stuff that bothers me. That really seriously bothers me. Now, Michael Saylor, I think that he says a number of things that are completely Looney Tunes. And so I shared this post last night. Check this out. I wrote, watching the new PBD podcast with Michael Saylor just makes me hate toxic Bitcoin maximalism more than I already did, which was already a lot. Saylor said Satoshi Nakamoto is a spiritual figure. And he did use that term, by the way, spiritual. He argued that it's unreasonable to ask about Satoshi's past, including his real identity. Yes, he believes that lack of transparency is a positive. Saylor said, this is a quote, "This is why we're protective of Satoshi," end quote, in response to a video clip of Dan Pena declaring that if the public knew the true identity of Satoshi Nakamoto, that Bitcoin would go to $0. This is common sense. Bitcoin maximalism is insane. Like, what? So you're telling me, in response to this clip from Dan Pena, and you can go Google it yourself if you're curious about it, he said that if the public knew the true identity of Satoshi Nakamoto, the creator of Bitcoin, it would actually go to 0. And I'm just sitting here thinking, my God, if your little magic internet money here is so damn frail that, like I said here, the creator, if the creator was known, it would go to 0, then frankly, it should absolutely go to 0. It's common sense. Is it that frail? And in the video, oh my God, there's this video clip of, was it Scottie Pippen? You should see that one too. He was asked on stage about Satoshi Nakamoto, and Scottie Pippen, whether he's lying or not, claims to know who he is and have a relationship, the whole 9 yards. And the death stare that Michael Saylor gave him when he started talking about this. But you know what he said after that? He's like, it was a completely inappropriate question to ask. Oh, I'm sorry. Who created the thing that you're pumping? To ask who created, that's an inappropriate question. Holy freaking hell. To what degree could this possibly be intellectually honest? Like, this is what you see from a toxic Bitcoin maximalist with very heavy Bitcoin bags. That's what it is. It's just completely ridiculous, completely absurd. And the other thing that bothers me, like, one of the things that I realized very early on, and I'm not the only one, obviously, but even when I was brand new to crypto, I recognized it just makes sense to, like, tokenize just about everything under the sun, especially stocks, which only trade during certain business hours. So you can't trade on a weekend. That's ridiculous. Like, why? Even right there, you should have a decentralized platform where you can have tokenized versions of the stocks, and then to make sure that you can't spam the network, you could even have a coin like XRP, native to a blockchain that has a value because it's publicly traded, right, on a global scale, and that can be useful. A coin can be. And so I was like, here you go. Like, because the XRP ledger, mind you, has the world's first ever built-in decentralized exchange, and you can tokenize stuff. Very cool, right? Very cool technology. The first ever in history. And so I recognized instantly, like, this will be the future. And we actually are getting there. Like, more and more stuff is getting tokenized, including, stocks, bonds, gold, so on and so forth. So that vision is becoming reality. Michael Saylor has been against this for years until suddenly now he's not. Now, at least he's a little bit coming around. Now, he's still a Bitcoin maximalist. And he won't acknowledge that it makes sense to have any other native coin on a blockchain to make this happen. But even he has said, hey, why can't we progress technologically? Why can't we have stocks that are traded, tokenized, and just progress basically? And so but he stopped short of saying on a decentralized blockchain with a native asset. He won't go that far. And I'm like, oh my freaking God, just admit it. This is not going to be a one coin world, bro. And in a way he did, but he's just talking about tokenized stocks. But he won't go far enough to say, yeah, other cryptocurrencies will make sense, because that ruins his sales pitch. He's not being intellectually honest, and that bothers me. I get it. He's brilliant, and he's right about a bunch of stuff. But I don't want dishonest people in my life. And so when I see him saying stuff that's true and brilliant sounding and very analytical, great. But then when you say stuff that is very obviously not true, and I know that you have to know it, then I feel like you're pretending like, well, you're obviously pretending like you're not, but that must mean that you think you can trick people. Like, we're all stupid enough, we're not going to see through it. Well, that's garbage. And I would love for somebody to point blank ask him, okay, is XRP a security? Because it's already been ruled a non-security. So I just be curious to see what he has to say. To my knowledge, he hasn't been asked that since we've had the conclusion of the lawsuit. Now, before it, yeah. And he said, yes, it's a security. So, I don't know. I just want to share some thoughts on this because it's been grinding my gears a little bit. It's good to speak to you all. Please let me know what you think, though, in the comment section below. And I'm going to wrap up here. I'm not a financial advisor. You should not buy or sell anything because of anything I say or write. That would be a very, very, very bad idea. Until next time, to the moon, Lambo.